We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
The U.S. doubles down on support for Israel, UAW expands strike, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken delivered a strong message of American solidarity in Israel on Thursday morning, alongside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and revealed that the number of Americans who have died since Hamas's attack Saturday has now climbed to at least 25 U.S. citizens. Blinken reiterated the Biden administration's sentiment that the U.S. stands with the Jewish state. The message that I bring to Israel is this: you may be strong enough on your own to defend yourself, but as long as America exists, you will never, ever have to. We will always be there by your side, Blinken said. That's the message that President Biden delivered to the Prime Minister from the moment this crisis began. It's the message that I and my other colleagues in the government have delivered to our Israeli counterparts on a daily, even an hourly basis. It's the message that I bring with me to our discussions today, and it's what I'll affirm when I meet with the members of Israel's newly formed national emergency government. We welcome the government's creation and the unity and resolve that it reflects across Israel's society. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre on Tuesday slammed statements from congressional squad members who suggested the Hamas attack on Israel should be considered in context with previous actions by Israel. There are not two sides here, she admonished. Prompted by a reporter to address the lawmakers who opposed U.S. military aid for Israel on social media and called for an immediate ceasefire in the conflict, the press secretary pulled no punches. I've seen some of those statements this weekend, she said. We're going to continue to be very clear. We believe they are wrong. We believe they're repugnant. And we believe they're disgraceful. Our condemnation belongs squarely with terrorists who have brutally murdered, raped, kidnapped hundreds of Israelis. There can be no equivocation about that. There are not two sides here. Despite the position of the Biden administration, Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders criticized Israel on Wednesday for cutting off electricity, fuel, food, and water to residents in the Gaza Strip, calling it a serious violation of international law. The targeting of civilians is a war crime, no matter who does it. Israel's blanket denial of food, water, and other necessities to Gaza is a serious violation of international law and will do nothing but harm innocent civilians, said Sanders. Sanders has not criticized Hamas for their bombings, rapes, and beheadings of children. Hamas terrorists left ISIS flags during their murderous rampage, according to Israel, repeating the claim that Hamas is worse than ISIS. The Israeli Defense Forces shared a photo of one of the Islamic State's distinctive black flags supposedly left at one of the many scenes of carnage, with other reports saying some were left flying. Hamas brought ISIS flags to massacre Israeli children, women, and men, the IDF wrote. The photo comes just days after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu likened Hamas to ISIS in a fiery speech in which he vowed that the Jewish nation's retaliation against the terrorist organization for the killing and kidnapping of civilians will reverberate with them for generations. In other news, the United Auto Workers Union expanded its strike against the Detroit 3 automakers on Wednesday with a surprise walkout by 8,700 union members at the Ford Kentucky truck plant. The union ordered the workers at the factory, which makes Ford's Super Duty trucks and Ford Expedition and Lincoln Navigator SUVs, to join the strike an hour after a last-minute meeting with Ford negotiators, according to the Detroit News. It's time for a fair contract at Ford and the rest of the big three, UAW President Shawn Fain said. If they can't understand that after 4 weeks, the 8,700 workers shutting down this extremely profitable plant will help them understand it. Ford called the move grossly irresponsible and wrong-headed. Among the demands the union has put forward is a 4-day work week. NASA on Wednesday released the first images of black rocks and dust brought back from an asteroid. The small bits of the sample analyzed so far show that the asteroid, Bennu, contains water and carbon, adding to evidence that asteroids might have provided early Earth with essential elements for life. We're already thrilled with the results, said Dante Loretta, principal investigator for NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission, which sent a spacecraft on a 7-year mission to Bennu, 200 million miles away and back. The sample appears to be nearly 5% carbon. We picked the right asteroid, and not only that, we brought back the right sample, said Daniel Glavin of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. This stuff is an astrobiologist's dream. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.